Welcome to Hero Power. I'm your host, Avanties, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Zerotio.
What is up? We're doing a side-by-side again for our listeners on iTunes. I was up in the area for family stuff, and since I was up in this neck of the woods, we decided to record at Avanti's house. Again, I love doing these little side-by-sides. It's a little more dynamic kind of conversations than just doing them on Skype. So these are always fun and a pleasure. I don't know if you enjoy having to deal with me sitting next to you or not, but
I mean, yes, I love having you here. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Until I'm gone and you're complaining.
No. It would. Like you said, you're here. We've got a great show lined up for you. Quite a bit to talk about.
Which is funny because quite a bit to talk about in a fairly dull portion of the cycle, and we'll talk more about that because. And again, I didn't put them exactly in the show notes, but there are some speculations on stuff that should be announced soon.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm really excited about this.
So before we get started, how have things been going for you in Hearthstone?
Good. This is kind of my break. THL's ended. We didn't make playoffs, so I kind of get in, do my dailies, do my grind. I got up to rank 5 in standard. Diamond 5, sorry. I got up to Diamond 5 in Standard and then just was like, I'm done with this unless I do a balance change, which we'll talk about.
Yep.
I really probably won't push for Legend because the decks I like to play aren't very good right now and it's very unpredictable right now, which is actually a good thing.
Yep.
But again, the decks you're seeing, while there's a large stable of them, 3 or 4, rotated in and out, and then counters on top of that, so you might see 6-7 different decks. They're the same 6-7 different decks, and there's no real variation, so it's kind of cookie cutter. So I decided to jump over to Wild because I had some inspiration from friend of the show, long-time listener, long-time patron, Mike Lowe, and who kind of skyrocketed up and got into Legend very fast, and he was featured on, was it HS Top Decks?
I believe so.
I think that I could be wrong on that. He was featured on one of the websites, and I decided, hey, let's try out this Mech Paladin in Wild, and I shot up to rank 5, and actually got up to Diamond 5. I actually got up to, and that was from Platinum 10. I actually got up to Diamond 2, but I fell back some because the meta's figuring it out. But
one of our patrons, Howard the Dave's been playing that deck too and having a blast with it.
Yeah, in our patron only Discord.
By it.
In our patron-only Discord, me and Howard have been shooting screenshots of, I hit this mark, well, I hit this mark, and then I hit this mark, and kind of competing with each other. So you can literally win a game on turn 2 with that deck.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
It's so snowbally.
Yeah, and we're going to actually play it today. I'm excited about it. You can see the deck list there on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. But, yeah, we're going to pull it back up here in a little while. We're going to give it a try and have some fun with it.
Let's get into the news.
Yes.
We have balance changes going live with patch 17.6.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to get back to that and how that's important in a minute.
Okay.
But the balance changes are hitting this Tuesday.
July the 14th.
July the 14th.
Yeah.
And they're pretty substantial.
So if you're listening to this on the day it releases on the download, that'll be tomorrow. This patch will be hitting the servers. So
let's talk about what's being balanced.
Yeah. So they're making changes to 8 cards in the game.
8 different cards. This is a big one, and we kind of wondered why they did so few the last 2. They did like 3 and then 1 last time. It's probably because they were waiting for the big update where they usually do these, and that's where the 17.6 kind of comes in. And again, I'll talk more about that later.
So first up, we're getting the second change to Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. Yes. You guys remember the first time they made a change to her, it was so that she wouldn't discover herself.
Yeah.
So now they're making a change to her battle cry. The old battle cry was, if your deck has no duplicates, add 2 other random dragons to your hand. They cost 0. Well, now the new battle cry will read, if your deck has no duplicates, add 2 other random dragons to your hand. They cost 1.
So this severely diminishes the potential of a swing turn on 9,
Yes.
but on turn 10, you most of the time you only got one of the two
That's going to be playable
that
at the
are
moment.
useful.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
they're both playable. Obviously, there's zero cost, but they're only one of the two are usually useful. So at turn 10, you can still play Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and then one of the one cost dragons you got. So I think she's. I think this actually. I think they released her as this.
Yeah.
Then I think she would have been fine, even if she discovered herself at that point. But obviously, that was a good change.
Yeah.
But if they were to release her as this with they cost 1, I don't think there would have been any big problems
Big
with
issues.
PQA
Yeah.
at all.
Okay. Next card is a big change for a card that sees a lot of play. And if you listened to this week's Angry Chicken, this card got talked about more than any other card
Yeah.
in the game of Hearthstone, thanks to Ridiculous Hat.
True.
And that card is Corsair Cash. I pretty much blame this nerf directly on Hat, bringing it to everybody's attention this week on Angry Chicken.
We all know Team 5 definitely listens to the Angry Chicken
Yeah.
every week.
Corsair Cash, warrior card, old text said, draw a weapon, give it +1/+1. New text, draw a weapon, give it +1 durability.
So I personally don't think this is a problem because majority of the time, the weapons that you're getting are Wrench Caliber and Ankar. And both of those cards, both of those weapons are less about the damage they deal and more about how many swings you get with them to get either more pirates or get more bombs in the deck. So honestly, I don't think this even gets adjusted. I wouldn't disenchant this card. Corsair Cash is going to still be in all the warrior decks.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Probably.
It's fine.
All right, next up we have Demon Hunter's Metamorphosis.
Yes.
Its old text said swap your hero power to deal 5 damage. After 2 uses, it swaps back. The new text is swap your hero power to deal 4 damage. After 2 uses, swap it back. So, still going to cost 5. It's only going to do 4 damage now for 1 mana instead of 5 damage for 1 mana. So, what do you think? Do you feel like this is going to you're not going to see this as much, or do you think it's not really going to make a difference and we're still going to see it in every Demon Hunter deck?
I think it gets cut. I think the ultimate damage of going from 10 to
8
for a total of 9 or
5, 6, 7.
Yeah, 7 mana because it's a 1 cost.
Right.
So for 7 mana, I really think it's too slow for so little burst of damage. I think it gets cut from. Let me correct myself. I think it gets cut from Tempo, Demon Hunter.
Okay.
However, I think if there's a control Demon Hunter that is born out of these nerfs, it goes in there to control the board.
Okay.
And we'll talk more about that with the next nerf that happens.
Right, which is another Demon Hunter card, Kain Sunfury. So, Kain is the one that allows you to ignore taunts. His previous attack and health, he was a 3 attack, 5 health minion. They are nerfing him to be a 3 attack, 4 health minion.
Yeah, I really think that a lot of the change to Metamorphosis and Kain Sunfury are mirrored. They didn't want to see that mirror Demon Hunter. When I say mirror Demon Hunter, 2 Demon Hunters where one's like control, one's more tempo. Someone playing Kain and then somebody playing Metamorphosis, and they can't clear the Kain.
Kain, correct.
Also, a lot of your if you look at a lot of your bursty damage style minions that do extra damage, a lot of those sit at the 4 health break point. So, because of that, Metamorphosis can deal with them at 4, but it can't deal with Kain.
Okay.
Again, I don't think it's the only reason Kain's at 3/4, and honestly, Kain Sunfury being at 3/4 is not going to matter if you're going face with him. But if you're in a position where he becomes trade Sunfury, then the 3/4 is going to matter. And so this lowers Tempo's Demon Hunter's chance to come back from being behind.
Yeah.
So that's where I think Kane Fury. I think you still put him in the deck because he's burst damage.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's going to help as much when you're behind.
Okay. Next up is the last of the Demon Hunter cards that are getting nerfed in this patch, and that is the Gleaves of Azzinoth.
Yes.
So, there was when Demon Hunter first came out, there was a really great article written about the 5 mana Demon Hunter cards because they were so powerful. And it was like, do you hold these in your opening hand? A lot of times you do. And now, Warglaves was one of those.
And Skull of Gul'dan,
which got nerfed to 6. Now, Warglaves is following in that, in Skull's footsteps, and it is going from a 5-cost weapon to a 6-cost weapon.
So I think in Tempo Demon Hunter, this goes down to a 1-of.
Mm-hmm.
And in the new control style Demon Hunter that could be born from all these changes, where you have some lifesteal minions and some ways to recover your health, you still include Warglaves of Azzinoth. It might still only be a 1-of, but you'll put that card in the deck because that 6 cost, that really isn't going to bother you much.
Yeah.
Because there may be a world where you run 2 Warglaves and it's literally to control the board, and maybe you run a Horde Pillager to get another Warglaves guaranteed out of it.
Okay.
To then continue to sustain, that using your health as a resource, and then having lifesteal minions.
Right.
That there are plenty of in the pool for Demon Hunter to use.
Okay, so next up on the nerf list is Dragon Caster. So this is the card where if you have a dragon in hand, your next spell you play costs 0. So this is going from a 6 mana minion to a 7 mana minion. You think this has anything to do with Silver Name winning on turn 6 with Puzzle Box?
I want to talk about this correlation of this change of Silver Name. So it's been brought up. I think it was Dean Ayala did an interview on Chinese or Asian Pacific web resource website about how randomness is. They're trying to cut back on some of the randomness and some of the off-curve type stuff. And Puzzle Box Yogg-Saron was brought up, and they're like, actually, Puzzle Box Yogg-Saron is where we want the randomness to kind of sit, but we don't want it to go out as early as it does with something like Dragon Caster.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of hinted that Dragon Caster was going to get a nerf. It going to 7 mana, I think you still play it in that deck. But honestly, I think if the Silver Name situation didn't happen, then Dragon Caster probably wouldn't be touched. And this is sad because a lot of people have put a lot of negative kind of spin, like almost like an asterisk on Silver Name's name going into the World Championships this year.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't think he would have been able to get there if it was not for
player.
the Dragon Caster and the Puzzle Box for Alexstrasza. But a lot of people are forgetting he was up 2-0 in that match.
Yep.
So he had that Puzzle Box could have gone horribly wrong. He would have been like, oh, well, I was probably going to lose anyways because he was in a bad matchup. So when you're up 2-0 and you're in a bad matchup where you're in a negative win rate against that deck, then you play these kind of high variance plays to possibly pull a game out of your rear end. Mm-hmm. So do I think if that turn had ever happened, he would have not qualified for World Championships? I think you still would have, because the next 2 matches in the matchup he was favored. So I think he probably would have won 3-1 instead of 3-0. But honestly, I don't think that Silver Name should get the negativity that he's getting just because of the Dragon Caster play. And honestly, I don't think this nerf's needed. I don't think it's even, if they're really wanting to slow down that kind of stuff, it's not enough. I think Dragon Caster needs to be 8 cost at least to do that. Or not be able, or it doesn't reduce it to 0. It reduces it to a certain number, like maybe reduces it to 5 or reduces it by 5. Mm-hmm. Then you can't do Puzzle Box with it. But honestly, I think the only reason Dragon Caster is being nerfed is because of the Silver Name play, and I think that's sad. I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Next up, we have Fungal Fortunes, Druid card. It's was a 2-mana card. It's now going to be a 3-mana card. Do you feel like this is going to affect its use in the deck lists?
No, and I think with all these other nerfs, that Druid goes up in its tier list and its playability and its win rate. And on top of that, and before we get to the rest of these, I think along with Druid going up, I think Pure Paladin's going to go up. The problem with this is Druid is a bad matchup for the Pure Paladin, but a lot of these other decks that were bad matchups are getting nerfed.
Okay.
And also, a lot of these other matchups that are getting nerfed are going to rise Highlander Hunter, which is a good counter against Druid. So you're going to probably see Druid, Highlander Hunter, and then I think Pure Paladin starts sneaking in there.
That triangle of
Tuesday,
countering each other,
Tuesday, you're going to see a lot of Druids, so then everybody's going to whip out Highlander Hunter. And my Highlander Hunter matchup with my Pure Paladin, I think I got like a 72% win rate against it. And that's my statistic.
Yeah.
Just against Highlander Hunter. So I tear that deck apart. And I'm really excited to see these nerfs, and then I'll be hitting standard after this to see if I can pop into Legend with Pure Paladin for the second month in a row.
Okay.
Because I got up to Diamond 5 with Pure Paladin, and then I slowed down.
So the last card getting nerfed today...
Which is funny, because they listed this as 3 cards.
It's 3 cards, but because it's Galakron, the Nightmare, which is the rogue version of Galakron. So... basically, the change they're making is, in the previous version of Galakron, depending on how many times you had invoked it, you could either draw 1 card, 2 cards, or 4 cards, and those cards cost 0.
Yes.
So the new version, depending on how many times you've invoked it, you'll draw the same amount of cards, 1, 2, or 4, but now the cheapest the card can get is 1.
So I hate those they cost X things, because it's going to feel bad when you draw the 1 cost backstab. It's going to happen. It's going to happen where you're like, well, I've got him fully invoked. Sure, I might draw backstab, and then all of a sudden you draw your backstab, and you can't even play it because it's 1 cost and not 0, and it's
right.
I wish if the whole they cost 1 that happened with I-Beam too, where it costs 1, but if you draw it with Skull of Gul'dan, it costs 0. Unless it goes back to the right of your hand, then it's 1 again.
It's 1 again, yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It's
I've seen that happen. Yeah.
Because I've done that where I've lost a game because I started doing my Alexstrasza turn. I was like, and then I'll do this because it's 0, and then I realized, oh, my beam changed to 1. That feels bad.
Yeah. So, also, we have some unannounced Battleground balance changes coming. What have you heard?
Nothing. They just basically said, and we have some, I think it's at the bottom of that blog post, we have some Battlegrounds updates planned for the near future as well. Stay tuned. Now, I don't know if that means that's this patch the Battleground changes will happen, or another patch.
Or maybe the next patch.
So the next question I put on here was, will this shake up the meta enough before the next set release?
Well, so that's an interesting question, because looking at past set releases, we have always pretty much and Hat touched on this in the TAC interview, that most of the sets have been released by the first, maybe second week, Tuesday in August.
Yes.
And here we are in the second full week of July, and there's not been an announcement yet.
No. That's my theory. So, what was our last patch?
17.5.
No.
Okay.
17.4.
17.4. Oh.
We skipped 17.5.
Okay.
We're now 17.6. What has happened at 16.6 and 15.6?
I don't know what.
The new bundle for the new set came with those patches.
Okay. I did not know.
And I have to accredit this to a streamer or a one of the, I can't remember which channel I was in, but Imix, he's on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
He dug up some of this information that every bundle has come out
on the 0.6
on the
patch.
0.6 patch.
Okay.
So that would lead me to believe that come Tuesday we're going to get a new patch, and it's going to all of a sudden include the bundle, and we will get the first rollout of cards.
Interesting.
Which is why the announcement for patch 17.6 was not done as a blog post. It was done as a forum post.
That's correct.
Because the blog post will release, I suspect, today if you're listening to this on download on Monday, or that Tuesday.
Okay.
When the patch rolls out.
Okay.
Because I think you will be able to do your pre-orders and stuff for the new set and know what it is, and probably won't know all the cards yet.
Right.
But you'll know probably a few of the cards and the mechanics come Tuesday. That's a theory.
Okay.
Based on the number system of their patches.
Okay.
So the fact that they went to 17.6, every 0.6 has had a bundle released with it.
Yeah, and the fact there was no 17.5.
Yeah, they just skipped over it, which I'm sure that I didn't look back to see if there has been 0.5s before. I think the number denotes after the decimal point, the first number is usually like the first set of nerfs, the first big patch, the balance patch. They have these internally marked.
Yeah, I mean, it really kind of felt like the patches came a little faster this year, because
but if you notice,
patch 17.4.1 was on June the 18th.
Yes, but if you'll notice, we had a lot of 17 point something else.
Right.
Because those are not patches; those are sub patches, and I think the reason we're seeing more of those is because of Battlegrounds.
Okay.
I think every time they do a minor...
So 17.4 dropped on June 9th.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was the big new Battlegrounds patches, pirates, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Then they made adjustments to it, and that was 0.4.1. That was just minor minion changes, tweaks and stuff. Whenever they do any big patch submissions, then that's your second number in the patch. Again, not every company does it the same, but I'm basing this off what Blizzard has done in the past. And ever since Blizzard Team 5 has put out Battlegrounds, those number sequences have changed even more, because now they're putting out more content with Battlegrounds.
Right.
So you'll have Battlegrounds patches, then you have standard, I don't mean standard format, but regular Hearthstone play form, the card game. And then they used to have arena balance changes, but now they just kind of, they don't even announce those anymore. They just kind of roll them in.
Yeah, that's
now with the possibility of this next set coming out. I was gonna wait till next week. This is something that just revelation hit me yesterday. We saw the symbol. It's this purple gem. This is another thing that was found, I think, by Imix. A lot of this symbol, and we don't have it up today because we kind of just decided this in the last, that purple gem with the tattered banner looks like it's ripped right off of a Draenor Paladin.
Oh, okay.
So we might be dealing with a Draenei style set, color set, and theming for this set, which would still put us in like Outlands, but a different era of Outlands.
Yeah. Okay.
Because remember, the Draenor was Outlands before. It was after Outlands, but it was in timeline before Outlands.
Yes.
So it was more lush. It wasn't as dark. It
wasn't shattered.
So
okay.
So we might see a pre-Outland style, pre-Illidan, pre-Demon Hunter type thing. I don't know. I'm excited to see. I'm just excited to see what happens Tuesday.
Comes. Yeah, me too.
I'm excited for our show next week when we talk about all the stuff that's hopefully going to drop this week.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Masters Tour APAC is coming up. We mentioned this a few weeks ago, July 16th through the 19th. What we didn't have to mention was these balance updates that we just got done talking about happening on the 14th.
Yeah. So Swiss rounds start the 16th.
Yeah.
Which usually means that deadlines for deck submissions are 2 days prior at midnight. So it would be midnight on the 14th, because then they do the work on the 15th and then the tournament starts on the 16th. So if they hold to that, then that means the players will have like 9 hours to prepare.
That's correct.
And that's suspecting if patch drops is normal.
And our good buddy Bloody Face, he actually had said back on Twitter when there were he said this 4 days ago. Less than 10 days until Masters Tour APAC. Still no word about if there will be a new balance patch or not. Hope this means there won't be one, so all the testing we do is not wasted. On the other hand, I really hope there is one, because this meta could use some changes. Well, Bloody Face, there is 2 days prior to start of
Now,
Swiss.
what this probably means is they may push submissions to literally the midnight before, so they might get an extra 24 hours to submit, but that's still 36 hours
Yes.
of testing before you submit your lists.
Yes.
Now, there are certain players that I think excel in areas like this, and that is one, Bloody Face, and Language Hacker, and Gallon. Those 3 players are in the Grandmaster pool, that is, that are really, really strong at these last-minute changes and adjustments in meta and just making a good, strong lineup people don't prepare for. Another one that was good at it was Dog, but he's not in the pool now.
Correct.
Because he's pretty much primarily a Battlegrounds player, streamer. But that being said, there could be a lesser-known player or somebody in our THL pool that qualified that is also good at this type of skill that might do well in this tournament. And we've learned with the whole debacle in the last Masters Tour, you get first place in a Masters Tour, you're pretty much in Grandmasters.
Correct.
Now, this Masters Tour doesn't calculate for the next Grandmasters rotation. It's not for season 4, it's for season 5.
Right.
But that's a really good first start. Put yourself at the top of the list.
Yeah. So there you go. It'll definitely be interesting to watch the Masters Tour APAC next weekend, just to see what these players are playing and how they're playing it. So I look forward to checking that out.
I'm going to make sure to take my Bluetooth headphones off early that Wednesday night and get them both charged up so I can rotate them out and not miss a second of action.
There you go. All right. Next up, this week we got some news that senior visual effects artist Hadijah Chamberlain has moved to a different team.
Finally remembered it?
I finally remembered it. Before the show, I was like, I know Hadijah's last name. I just can't remember it. It hit me right as I went into it. Has moved to a different team inside the company. She has been on the Hearthstone team and recently become one of the faces of the Hearthstone team, making a lot of announcements.
Yeah, and a lot of, she did an interview with Ray Waukesha on Walk to Work recently. She did the stream of the card back art, where she moderated the stream and asked questions.
So it was kind of a surprise to hear that she was moving to another team. Well, while all this was happening, a Twitter user, and I don't know, it was just some fan, had posted on Ben Thompson's Twitter saying, hey, can you help me and a friend settle an argument? Are you or are you not still on the Hearthstone team? So Ben Thompson was the art director for Hearthstone. Well, Ben had been making some posts on an art site, and this guy had seen his posts, and it had kind of got him wondering, and so he tweeted at Ben, and Ben replied and said no, that actually he had left Blizzard entirely 2 weeks after BlizzCon last year, which
Yeah.
puts his departure at around November the 18th of 2019, and nobody noticed
Yeah.
because he didn't make a big deal about
Ben
leaving.
Thompson even had speaking roles at
Yeah, he
BlizzCon,
was
where
he was on
announcing the new set.
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So nobody knew Ben had left because Ben didn't really tweet much about it, and he didn't make a big deal about it. He said how much he missed the people that he worked with, and he missed the game.
he actually responded on Hadijah's post saying he missed the team too as well, and that she's gonna miss it. And we don't know where Hadijah's going. This is what the third.
We know Hadijah's still at Blizzard.
We know Peter Whalen changed teams.
Peter Whalen changed teams.
We know.
It
wasn't Mike Dene, was it?
No.
It was the other one.
Kozak, wasn't it?
It was
Kozak. Yeah,
Dave
Kozak.
Kozak changed teams, and now we're seeing Hadijah change teams, and none of them have announced or shown up anywhere what team they're on. So people have speculated Diablo 4. People have speculated
A whole new IP.
the whole new IP. They've speculated that they're more in a functional part of Blizzard, where they're maybe doing marketing things, and as Blizzard generally, and artists can definitely help with that kind of stuff. We don't know. So I'm really excited to see what eventually comes out, and whether, if Hadijah goes to Diablo 4, her art knowledge and her graphic effects are just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
She does some wonderful work in Hearthstone when it comes to graphic effects.
Yeah. So, whatever, we wish the best for Ben and whatever he does going forward, and we look forward to seeing what Hadijah works on next. So, all right, that brings us to this week's Tavern Brawl, which is Decks Assemble. This is a throwback Tavern Brawl we've done before. Basically, all of Azeroth want to brawl for you. Start with a small deck, recruit as you go, and then send them to fight over and over. So basically, this was the deck, I think this was the Tavern Brawl they did right after they introduced the Discover mechanic, because that's what this is all about. Every turn, you'll get to discover a card, you add it to your deck. At the end of the turn, your hand shuffles into your deck, and you draw a new hand. And it's a really fun deck building challenge. So I went in and got my win. And
this is usually a one and done for me
as
well, because it's not a hard one to win. It's a little bit random, but I actually got a play for Tavern Brawls quest that morning. I was like, you know what, this isn't a bad one to do it on, so I kept it. So when you get the Libram synergy cards, especially the 1-mana one, and then you start getting Libram cards in the Discover pool, your opponent concedes real quick fast. So because every time you play the Aldor Attendant, he goes on the board, reduces your Librams by 1, and that's not Librams in your deck. That's all Librams. So even ones you discover, then it shuffles another copy into your deck.
Yeah.
And then you discover Libram Wisdom, which is now 1, and then you get the other Attendant. You play it out. Now you have another copy, and then you play the Wisdom. And then you get copies of the Wisdom in your hand that shuffle in, and then more in your deck when you play them, and then eventually you're going Aldor Attendant, Wisdom.
See, I went Hunter, and what's funny is when you first start, they give you a bunch of chickens to populate the deck. You know what those chickens are? Beasts.
Right.
You know what one of the more common Discover Hunter cards is? That lion that gets +1 attack for each beast and taunt. And you start with multiple
King of the Jungle?
Something like that. I can't remember. But you start with multiple coins in your hand as well. So it's pretty easy to play one of those on turn 3, making it like a 5/5 taunt, and then draw into another one on turn 5 and play it, making it like an 8/5 taunt, and then it's just over on turn 6.
So I also played Warrior and got it's a 2-mana spell that changes every card in your deck to discover a warrior. Rapid Genesis or no. It's like Explorer and Goro, I think.
Okay, yeah, that may be it.
Explorer and Goro, So then all your decks all the cards that you found through the game turn into the Explore and Goro. So every time it fills your hand with Explore and Goro, which makes you discover more cards. It's pretty silly.
That sounds like fun, though.
That one was fun.
So.
I lost that one, but it was fun. I didn't have to win at that point.
Yeah.
I won my first one.
All right. Well, that brings us to this week's deck list, which we've already talked about quite a bit. We showed it to you at the top of the show. This is Mike Lowe's Wild Paladin deck list that we're going to be playing today.
Wild Mech Paladin.
Wild Mech Paladin. So I actually went to see if I could build this, and the only thing I'm missing is the Replicatatrons. So I'll read the deck list, and then I'll turn it over to Zerotio to kind of talk about how the deck plays. So it's 2 Crystology, 2 Glowtrons, 2 Skaterbots, 2 Smuggler's Run, 2 Annoyatron, 2 Galvanizer, 2 Grime Street Outfitters. That's a card you haven't heard in a while. Yeah. 2 Mech Warpers, 2 Divine Favors, 2 Flying Machines, 2 Sky Claws. Then, of course, you got your 1 copy of Snip Snap. Then you got 2 Annoyo modules, 2 Replicatatrons, 2 War Gear, and, of course, everybody's favorite card, Ziliax.
Yeah,
so like I said, I had everything but the Replicatatron, and I realized Replicatatron is the primary win condition in this deck.
Yeah,
right?
So Replicatatron is sick. When you can buff it up significantly to at least like 6/6 or bigger, or magnetize things to it. And one thing I like doing is playing the Galvanizer, which will reduce the Replicatatron down to 3, and then playing the Replicatatron next to the Galvanizer.
So that it becomes...
So it becomes a second Galvanizer. Or second Replicatatron. Because at that point, you don't want a 1/2 sitting on the board.
Right.
If you'll notice, this deck caps at turn 5...
at 5 mana, yes.
And has mana reduction.
Uh-huh.
So you empty your hand fast. So you really want to get Crystology in your mulligan. You want to get Galvanizers in your mulligans. The hand buffings, I started with getting hand buffing in my mulligan, and then I was watching Mike Lowe on Born to Be Wild. Born to Be Wild. That's where I saw MX from. So I was watching Mike Lowe on Born to Be Wild, and he said the hand buffing is less important than the card draw, because if you draw into the hand buffing, then you got a bigger hand to buff.
Right.
That you usually don't want to keep Grime Street Outfitter unless you're holding a Crystology as well. Then maybe you might keep Outfitter, but really you want to get the Galvanizer into Mech Warper into free mechs.
Gotcha.
And that can happen where, like on turn 2, you can go Galvanizer, coin, Mech Warper, and then the rest of your hand's free mechs. You just empty your entire hand, and then pray you draw into a Divine Favor. And if you play Divine Favor on turn 3, your opponent will usually concede.
Okay.
So I've had turn 2, turn 3 wins with this, or turn 2 concessions, turn 3 or turn 4 wins with this deck.
Right.
It is fast.
I'm excited. I've heard so much. Like I said, you guys have been touting this deck for a week now in our patron-only Discord.
And it's fire.
I'm so stoked to see it. I may actually, I was thinking about it. I was looking, I only have like 200 dust, so I may try to find another 600 dust and make the 2 Replicatatrons, because they are epics.
So matchups, really slow decks, it does well against. Other aggressive decks, it does well against. It doesn't do bad against Demon Hunter. It actually owns Pirate Warrior, because it's doing what those decks want to do, but faster.
Right.
Now, of course, if they get the perfect curve and you don't, then obviously you can lose those, so it's not an auto win. But the bad matchups are the ones that are going to generate a lot of armor, a lot of disruption, have a lot of clearing, a lot of freezing, have a little trouble with mage. Priest can be troublesome if they get their board clears early. And of course, I have trouble with Druid because they put up the 1/6 taunts.
Yeah. But this deck is really cheap when you look at it from a build perspective. You know, you've got Ziliax and Snip Snap.
And Snip Snap was given free.
And Snip Snap was given free, but if you weren't around then, you know, it's definitely a good legendary to have. Plus, then you've got the Replicatatrons, which are your epics, and everything else is pretty much rare and common. So, I mean, you're looking at 5,000 dust, maybe tops, to build this entire deck.
Yeah, and a lot of people have asked, I don't play a lot of Wild, I do occasionally. Is it worth crafting some of these cards? Phase 2 in the roadmap, and we're going to talk more about this next week if we hear any more news. Phase 2 in the roadmap has a new mode coming out, and they've hinted that it's going to use your collections and your full collections, including Wild cards.
Which is exciting.
So, obviously, when that new phase comes out, if you're missing any Wild cards, you might be behind the 8 ball. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see. And again, whether they give those to you, we don't know anything about that new mode that's being debuted in Phase 2, which we assume is during this next set. So,
Right.
This deck's fun. If you're getting bored of Standard and you just want to play Hearthstone and not deal with the same thing you've been dealing with, jump into Wild, because you will not deal with the same thing you've been dealing with. Wild is very exciting. I play 6, 7, 8, 9 different opponents all the time because
there's
set
so many
allows
available archetypes and cards available.
All
I mean,
10 classes are playable in Wild right now, so it's a lot of fun. And if you played a long time ago and then you took a break and then you came back, but you still have some of those older cards like Jade Druid shells and things like that.
Those are such fun cards.
You can go back. Or
love that
Cthulhu decks.
archetype.
Cthulhu decks are playable. They're not top tier, but they're playable. Everything is winnable in Wild, and that's why I like playing it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great format. So, all right, gang, if you are joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned, which I guess you're not joining us on Twitch because we're not live streaming anymore. If you guys haven't noticed, we have had a lot going on and have been unable to do the Twitch live stream lately, so we've gone to just recording these and putting them directly on our YouTube and then putting out the audio.
Yeah, and that allows us to better prepare the shows.
Yeah, we don't have to kind of press and lock in a certain time. It's a little more flexible for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to probably stick with this format. So if you're joining us on YouTube, stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via our audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. You can find all of our past episodes right here on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show, you'd like to help support and improve it, you can do so just by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/HeroPower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
All right, Zerotio, you're driving, sir.
Yes.
I'm excited to see this deck in action.
So I am a very much a Lady Liadrin fan, but you'll notice
using Annoyotron.
For just this deck, I'm using Annoyotron because Lady Liadrin's my normal. So for this deck, I was like, I have to play Annoyotron. And I don't know if that spins off what I'm playing, but I don't care.
Right.
Because hello.
Hello.
I love Annoyotron.
Yeah.
He's like my spirit animal. So we have a warrior, which is probably going to be pirate. Warrior. So
what are we looking for here?
We want early.
So
game.
We want to throw back the war gear and the Ziliax and keep. You don't want to keep Snip Snap?
No, we don't want to keep Snip. We really want Snip Snap when we can play a couple of them, reduce costs.
Okay.
I think I'm even going to throw the Glowtron back because a 1/3 this early in the game is not as good. I'd rather try to draw into something that draws me more or reduces the cost of things.
Okay.
So the Grime Street's going to help. The Skater Bot's good.
The Mech Warper.
Yeah, and Flying Machine into Skater Bot is great against Pirate Warrior because you can usually clear a lot of their
board. Okay.
And this could not. It didn't go into Odd Warrior, so that means it's pretty much going to be Pirate Warrior.
Okay.
Because
Christology.
I was contemplating whether I wanted to coin out the Grime Street outfitter or just pass this turn, but Christology's perfect for outfitter next turn.
Yeah.
I was hoping to draw a Galvanizer.
Right.
Because Galvanizer would give us a great curve. We have reduction with
There's a
Mech
Corsair Cache.
Wow, he is slow out the gate. So I think we just outfitter here.
I agree.
And get ready to get him. Because see, next turn we could Mech Warper, Coin, Flying Machine, Skaterbot.
Skaterbot, yeah.
And Goltron if we wanted to.
Yep.
So if he's probably going to equip a weapon this turn, which gives us a turn.
Yep, that's the weapon he drew.
Well, he has got a slow hand if he's just now developing.
All right, let's show him what a slow hand looks like.
Ooh. So we're at 8 cards, so we draw to 9. Wonder if we could take another. Maybe play the Flying Machine, make him deal with it.
I mean, we've got 2 flying machines in our hands.
Yeah,
so.
that's the only reason I'm considering it. Let's Crystology first, see what we draw.
Galvanizer. Do we just go ahead and galvanize?
If we play the Galvanizer now, it reduces everything pretty much in our hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's play the Galvanizer. I'm surprised he didn't clear that with a minion, which makes me think he has the cannon that fires off whenever he draws. So he might be slow playing to try to get a big cannon turn.
Upgrade.
And we're about to pop off this turn. Wow, he is still going face. He is really
South
slow.
Sea deckhand.
South Sea face? Is he going to go face? Okay, there's the 2-2. He's going face! Okay, so we pop off here, I think. So we're going to start out with Mech Warper, obviously. Oh,
okay.
Wow. Mech Warper into Mech Warper. Into Flying Machine. Into Skaterbot on the Flying Machine. What are we at, 5? Into the other Flying Machine.
Yeah.
We'll play this one on the left.
Over here. Yeah.
Into Skaterbot on that Flying Machine. Into which one we're going to clear with this one here. Do that, and then let's magnetize here. Clear these 2. And then we're going to put the Annoyal module on it.
And go face
so it has
with the
Divine
1-1
Shield.
and the 1-2.
And look, turn forward. Look at this board.
Yeah. It's a 9-12.
What's he going to do? That's 18 points of damage and 1 minion.
Well, this turn he can...
See?
Wow.
See?
Wow.
That's what this deck does.
Wow. I was going to say, it's turn 5. He could technically brawl, but...
I think he was setting up for a big pirate turn, and that was his mistake. He should have went ahead and got those pirates out early. But honestly, I don't think it would change anything.
That's crazy.
I mean,
absolutely crazy.
Mike
Lowe, you're a bad man. So I hope you hear this.
He has a. If you listen to him on the Born to Be Wild, he has a source for this deck. Electric Sheep City. He's been in the community.
Okay.
I've known Electric Sheep City for a long time. Him and Electric Sheep City on their THL team devised this deck.
Oh.
Which is similar to an old Mech Paladin. They just added some of the new cards to it to make it a little more current.
Yeah.
Some of the newer cards that have come out since it did. I think Outfitter wasn't in there. Crystology wasn't reduced to 1 cost at the time. So it wasn't in there. Yeah, Crystology at 2 mana.
We didn't even see a Replicatatron.
No. And that's when it gets fun.
So how does this deck do against Priest?
It's a bad matchup, and that's one thing that you really need to just get out the gate as fast as possible and just go gangbusters.
So do we want to throw away the Outfitter and the Snip Snap?
Yeah, just try to get our low cost minions. We want to see, the Divine Favor might be good. We want to see the Replicatatron.
Okay.
We want to try to get multiple big threats, so he has to have either board clear or spot removal won't help him. I don't want a Smuggler's Run. I don't even want to Galvanizer this next turn, but I think we need the Smuggler's Run just so we have a 2/3 Galvanizer going out next turn. This isn't a great hand, but I think this is the...
Well, if we don't draw another mech, are we still going to Galvanize her with just one
I think we have
mech in hand?
We could wait for Divine Favor, but I don't think they play enough stuff for us to empty our hands for Divine Favor.
Right.
I think we play the Smuggler's Run, but we're not necessarily going to
Play the Galvanizer next turn, unless we draw another mech.
We might, if they don't play anything, we might pass so we can Divine Favor next turn into Galvanizer.
Well, drew a War Gear.
So they pass, so we're just going to Hero Power.
Okay.
And then we're not going to get a lot of draws. See, he's at 7 cards, and we'll be at... So we'll get 3 cards out of it, but if they're all mechs, then that's Galvanizer value.
Right. Oh.
Crystology Galvanizer looks better
That
now.
looks good, yeah.
That changes things significantly.
So there's a Skaterbot, there's a Glowtron.
Galvanizer.
Yeah.
I think we Glowtron onto the Galvanizer, but we don't Skaterbot.
Makes it a 3/6, yeah.
Yeah.
And just attack.
Hopefully it'll draw some of the low attack removal. And if you can't clear it, we got a big War Gear going on top of it.
Yeah. We can still look at Divine Favor next turn, depending on what he does this turn.
Yeah, that's true. This is a tough matchup because you feel like you're about to win, you're ahead, and then you just come just points short.
Right. Coin for 4 mana. Playing Zephrys.
So he has 2 mana for the Shadow or Pain. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so he's got 6 cards in hand. We could play the Skaterbot.
Well, so Skaterbot's only a 1/1, but that's a 3/5. So we can Annoyo Module Skaterbot. And the reason I want Annoyo Module Skaterbot and not Skaterbot Annoyo Module is so that if he does get a Psychic Scream off, it shuffles the Annoyo Module, not the Skaterbot, back into my deck. So we do that, it puts it at that 4 health, 4 attack.
Yeah.
Which is a little harder
For him to get rid of. Yeah.
And allows us to clear this 3/2 and then sit face.
Okay.
The second Divine Favor just sucks in our hand. That's a denied draw spot. Okay.
So he's got Dragon.
Ooh. I really want to put that War Gear on the Replicator Tron.
So do we Divine Favor here?
I think we Divine Favor.
Draw 3 cards.
And then we hit this once. To make him feel like he has to... Ooh. We Divine Favor, then we Grime Street. Yeah. So this is happening. But we don't use that one.
Okay.
Not yet.
Let him trade off.
I kind of want it on the board for the possibility of putting Replicator Tron next to dead minions. So he'll clear that. That's fine. All right. So,
Smuggler's Run Replicatatron.
Well, if we Mech Warper, that puts those down to 3, so we can't play both.
What's the wording on Replicatatron again? Transform a neighbor. So it could be left or right.
Yeah. So I think we Smuggler's Run.
Mech Warper. That'll leave us with 3.
And then Replicatatron over here. And that'll put 2 5/5s on the board. And the Mech Warper on the other side, so he's going to have to decide what he wants to get rid of.
Right.
The reason I put it there is because if I Hero Power, it'll go right next to the Replicatatron. I could have put it in the middle, but it's more likely it'll eventually get over to the...
Right.
And see, now I can play a minion in the middle, and then Hero Power, and then it has a chance to hit the one on the right, and then that one could hit the one on the right or the one on the left. The placement's kind of important with Replicator, trying to maximize how many you get.
Shadow Visions.
Shadow Visions, he's probably going for Mass Hysteria, Psychic Scream.
Psychic Scream is a 7 mana spell, though, right?
Yeah, but he'd have to play it next turn.
Right.
Shadow Word Ruin, also would ruin us. Shadowward Ruin is probably what he really liked, but it doesn't deal with the Mech Warper.
Mass Dispel. Okay.
Okay. So he Mass Dispel, then he hit the Mech Warper, but the Mech Warper's threat's gone.
Right.
That didn't
So
make
now,
sense to me.
do we just War Gear, Snip Snap, and go face? War Gear on one, Snip Snap on the other?
I'm thinking that's the way to go. Trying to think if there's another line that doesn't clear the Azure Drake. Do we need to clear the Azure Drake? I think we do need to clear the Azure
So
Drake.
a Noyo module, Snip Snap?
I think a Noyo module, use it to clear the
right, to clear the Drake.
And then
Snip
now
Snap
Snip
on
Snap's
that
a
one.
4 or 5, so that
Yeah.
makes it a 7-8.
To face.
Goes to face. So this sets us up for a War Gear Divine Favor, and a 1 cost if we draw a 1 cost, that would be nice. Anything other than Christology, or if we drew Smuggler's Run, we could.
There's the Mass Hysteria.
There's Mass Hysteria, which this board is not bad against that. Look at it, 7-2.
Right.
Shadow of Death.
Okay.
There's a couple 1/1s that puts. We can War Gear one of these.
Yep. But
Yeah.
do you want a Divine Favor first or War Gear
we'll
first?
get one less card if we Divine Favor
Okay.
first. But if we do Smuggler's Run, it'll be 1 more damage. But I don't know if we need that. Let's Divine Favor first. I think you're right. Okay. Replicator-tron.
There's the Outfitter.
What about Outfitter Flying Machine?
Yeah, I don't hate that.
And what this will do is this will set us up for a possible lethal if he can't deal with the Flying Machine.
Right.
Because
And then
our
you
War
can-
Gears
Yeah.
hate
Yeah, you can drop the...
War Gear on the Flying Machine.
Right, but if he deals with it, then you've got the Replicator-tron between these. There you go.
Yep, he deals with it. Okay, that's what he got off Shadow Visions. So he's running a dragon package.
Yes.
So now we go a little hog wild. So we can Mech Warper
Okay.
into Skyclaw, into Replicator-tron on the far right. I want to give us a taunt, something with Divine Shield.
You go ahead and put the Skater Boy on the
I think
5/4 Replicator,
I think we do.
making it a 6/5.
I think we
Or
do because it's
7/6,
susceptible to Shadowward. I think now we have 2 7/6s.
Right.
And again, I'm trying to make a sticky minion. That's why I included the Divine Shield, so
Yeah.
we have something to put the Mech Warper on. Because he could just do a damage-based board clear here.
He's also at 9 if he's running, what's the one that silences and then destroys all minions?
Oh yes,
It's a 9-mana spell.
Plague of Death.
Yeah, Plague of Death.
Yeah, he could Plague of Death here.
He's digging.
Doesn't have Plague of Death. Which means he doesn't have an immediate answer to this board.
Reno.
Okay. So how much do we have on the board? 14, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's lethal.
That's lethal, yeah.
As long as we magnetize. We got to make sure to magnetize.
Yeah.
There we go. And this is not a very good matchup. Whew.
OTK.
There we go. Go ahead, Reno, bro.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah. There you go. 2-0.
2-0, just like that. That's awesome.
1 and done. Or 2 and done.
2 and done, yeah.
Back up to Diamond 3. I was Diamond 2 for a short stint. And then I was watching Born to Be Wild, not really paying attention to my play, and drinking a few beers, and I take down the Diamond 4.
There you go.
Don't recommend that.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, that's going to pretty much do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please shoot us an email over at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions about the deck, let us know as well. We'd love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you haven't done so yet, so you can get all of our content. Also, if you are interested in our patron-only Discord, you can be a member of that for as little as $1 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/heropower for more details. And until next week, good gaming.
Bye, guys.